Welcome to the To Be Honest podcast. Today I am speaking with Raul Romero, who is kind of new to the Bay Area. He has an experience with grief. His dad passed away earlier this year, and he has now turned to exercise to kind of work through the grieving process and address his mental health. So welcome, Raul, to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here with you, with your listeners. It's an awesome platform. I'm super happy to have the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just grateful that you're willing to share your story and experience with us. I think it's really important. So to get started, I like to ask every guest, to be honest, how are you doing today?
Oof. Well, it's the middle of the week, and having just a 9 to 5 that's really a 7 to 4. It's that type of week. So it's just stress, thinking about 20 things. I got people on different coasts that I'm having to communicate and talk to. So I'm a little bit, stressed out, but with everything that has happened, it's funny because it made me think of something when I was driving here back home. I was just like listening to music, kind of just checking in on myself. I was like, yeah, man, it's like whatever. You could be stressed out, but just leave it at the office. And it's important to kind of remind yourself to work stuff that's stressing you out, just to leave it there, because you carry that stuff with you, especially in the line of work that I do, and like logistics, where you should be thinking about, steps and this and that, the other. It could be really stressful, and I've been in that position. So, and I'm easing off of my stress right now. So
That's good. I totally understand that, though. I feel like a lot of times I don't want to say I have a hard time separating work and personal life, but at the same time, like we all spend so much time at work if you are a working adult, that it's so hard to separate your personal life sometimes from your work day. So I get it, but I'm glad you had time to decompress, listen to some music in the car. That's really nice.
Oh, absolutely. It's the most important part of the day almost. It's like you listen to the music that'll get you in the zone driving to work, and then coming back, it's like, oh, just get me in a safe place away from this stress.
To kind of switch gears, I do want to get a little bit into your background and talk about your experience with grief and mental health. So I know you've mentioned to me that you've experienced a significant loss in your life this year. So would you mind sharing with our audience a bit about that?
Oh, absolutely. So at the beginning of this year, in January, I lost my father, which was hard because, as you mentioned in the beginning, I'm pretty fresh to the Bay Area, and this happened right basically when I moved over here. So there was this shock of like trying to fit into a new culture, just getting adapted to a new lifestyle, and then all of a sudden here comes this out of left field, just hit from life. And it really it definitely affected me hard in the beginning, but I'll just recap a little bit on what it was or how it happened. So in the middle of the month of January, I had just started a job in Fremont, and my entire family is kind of spread out right now. My mom's in Mexico. My sister and my dad were the only ones that were in Virginia, where I'm from originally. I was raised there. I'm Mexican, but and I had moved out here in November, so a few months here and starting a new job. There was a lot of stress going on in my life already, and then we kind of didn't hear from my dad for a few days, and there was, we would call him, and it'd just be a weird like 30-second conversation, that type of thing. And it's like, okay, well, maybe he's just sick. And that was the thought in everybody's head. And then on the 15th, my sister just, went over to my dad's place, and he was in really bad shape. She called me crying. And meanwhile, it's 6, 7 in the morning over here. I just clocked into work, and for the first call I got was like 20 minutes before I went into work, and she called me like crying, freaking out. And I was like, well, you can't do much, so just rush him to the hospital, call an ambulance, do whatever you have to do. I drove to work, even though I probably, looking back on it, right then and there, I should have started planning on going back home, but there's a I have this weird sense of responsibility where it's like self-imposed responsibility. But all that to say, 20 minutes, half an hour later, I get the call at work, and it's like they're doing CPR and he's not responding. And then a few minutes after that, I just hear, our dad's dead, and I just remember I went to the bathroom because I was like, I knew he was gone before anybody had to tell me. It was like, it doesn't take much to go from hoping that he's okay to just being like, okay, he's just not. And that's accepting that was the first point of acceptance, I guess. And immediately just realizing like, okay, he's not gonna make it, he's gone, but at least he's not hurting. He can relax now, he could be at peace. And so that call ends, and I can't really, trying to console somebody while you're experiencing the same pain, while you're halfway across the world, basically, is really difficult, and I'm sure there's plenty of people that have experienced that, and my heart goes out to them because it's something that I don't wish on anybody. Not being able to just be there for your family is hard. But I walk out, and the first person I see is my supervisor, and I'm like, I gotta talk to you. It's like, thank God you're right in front of me, because I did not have the mind to just go look for anybody. And I was like, my dad just passed away. I remember that moment very clearly because of how it felt. That's the first time I said my dad passed away. My dad died, and saying it now, or it's daunting. It feels like, really, like I just said that, and that's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
It sometimes could get like, it feels surreal,
Yeah.
But it's just something that I've almost forced myself to do, is kind of accept that, you really have to accept the hard facts. And that's how it happened. And I called my roommate, who's my best friend. I know this guy from Virginia, from like elementary school, and he knows my dad. He lived with me and my dad for a while. And I called him and like, hey man, Pops just passed away. And he started freaking out. He's like, what happened? And I'm driving, and it was another part of that day that I remember, is that's the first sunrise I saw in California. Was the day that my dad passed away. And for some reason, I just like, I took that in and like kept it for some reason. And it was a really nice sunrise, and over the hills and whatever. And it was cool. And it felt like, okay, this is a new start. This is some life changing stuff that's happening. not to make it poetic or whatever, but it's a new day.
Mm-hmm.
There's really not a lot that's going to be the same after today.
Yeah.
So I'm on the phone with him. I'm like, hey man, if I get into it right now, I'll probably crash because I'll start just freaking out. I got home, and right when I got home, it's just like that hit. Once I was in a place where I didn't have to think of anything else. I remember I bought my ticket back, or I bought my flight back to Virginia, and got all that squared away, and then I cried. Then I let then I let everything loose, and I'm just on the floor crying. My friends is like hugging me, crying with me. Like everybody's in the house, like all the roommates are just like, holy, like I've never seen you like this. And that day, it's just I flew back. That day, and that might have been the longest flight ever. It's like I didn't sleep. It's like an 8-9 hour flight. I didn't sleep. I didn't do anything. And I kind of appreciated that time because it was just me and my thoughts. It was me and, okay, you just lost your rock, basically. You lost a pillar in your life, and it's okay because he was suffering. He's not anymore. And at that point, I was pushing myself to accept it, to really be okay with the hard feelings and the hard facts that were happening. Then from there, getting back to Virginia and seeing my sister for the first time. My sister, super strong the whole time. She took the brunt of the hit, being that she was there when he passed. He basically passed away in her arms. So I've always told her, like, you're the strongest one in the family, not just character wise or whatever, but like you're emotionally so strong that you don't even realize it. Yeah, we cried a lot. We, wailed and screamed and were angry at, God or the universe, whatever, because it's when that hit first happens, it's just you don't have any other way of thinking about it, but I hate this feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this feeling, and I'm angry at everybody or everything because this feeling won't go away, and you can't pinpoint who to blame. So you start blaming everything, and it's hard to get out of that hole because nobody can talk you up, and it's something that you have to do yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of tying it to what the main point of why I wanted to do this conversation with you is, at that point I was big. Me and my dad, we always shared that we like food, we like to eat. We'd go somewhere and like a taqueria and just he'd slam 7 tacos, I'd slam 7 tacos, and just chugging sodas or whatever. We like to eat. We're big guys. And we did a lot of it wasn't until then that I kind of started to realize that I used food as like a comfort thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like this coping mechanism. It was like I just want something to like kind of to fill in the void, really.
Yeah.
Like if I feel full, maybe I won't feel as empty or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in Virginia for a while, helping my sister and everything, plan the funeral, and that's something that I took on to myself, and I told her, I was like, I want to take care of arranging the funeral because you already did enough. You were there. You were with him. This is the last thing that I could do for him.
Mm-hmm.
My dad and I's relationship was kind of like that. I did a lot for him, more than probably a son should do, like just getting him out of trouble. Like instead of him getting me out of trouble, I would
You were
get
the
him out of
parent,
trouble.
yeah.
I was a parent. That's exactly what it was. And a lot of people don't understand, if you have that good of a relationship with your kid, with your kids, as a parent, it's something that you do want because it shows that you taught your kids responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even planning the funeral was very heavy. And it's something else that kind of I kept in my brain was while planning the funeral, well, talking to like the whoever, whatever the name of the, not the mortician, I don't think that's the name of it, but the planner or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, well, we have some options, but because your dad is a bigger guy, he's gonna need the bigger casket. And I was like, oh, okay. It's like there's different sizes of caskets. It's like, yeah, there's different sizes. I was like, okay, wow, that's good to know. But that stayed in my brain. I was like, okay, wow, like bigger casket. The funeral happened, and it was almost like the perfect sad funeral. And
Mm-hmm.
I say that because it's almost, I have a weird sense of humor where I find like it's just I can find funny, like just I can find humor in dark stuff or twisted stuff. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, but it's kind of like it's a way that I've heard even from my mom. That's like the Mexicans like coping mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
like through the rough stuff in life, just laugh at it and deal with it,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was rainy and like everybody was crying. It was at we're Catholic, so it was at this old Catholic church, and here we are like putting him in the hearse. Everything just got really dark, and I was just stuck in my sister's house. I didn't have a plan of coming back to California or finding a job or or anything. I was in that dip where it's just like I'm at the bottom. I want to stay here. I don't know if I want to get out of this hole or of this little dip, and I don't know if I want to keep going. And it got to a point where I definitely like I started having just weird like dreams of like just dark stuff. It's just the pain showing itself, really.
Right. Yeah.
And the only way that it's gonna change is if I just start doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard when you're depressed, when you're at your lowest, it's hard to just get up or pick up the phone and make a call. And right when I started doing stuff and like I left Virginia, my sister dropped me off at Norfolk Airport. Yeah, it's just like clear skies, and we went and had breakfast, and I was like, listen, like we're gonna be okay. She knew we were like we both understood that we were gonna be okay because we had to be because the last our family went from 5 when we were young to 4 when my sister passed away, and now 3. So now it's just my sister, my mom, and me. And I was like, just for us, we have to be okay. We for mom, there's no option. We just have to do this. And then coming back here, it was rough again, but I jumped right back into work, and work helped me just kind of put certain feelings to the side. And yeah, I mean, I would still cry on the way to work, cry on the way back home. But something that I remember super clearly, I made a promise to my dad. After we found out what really was the cause of his death, I like I was talking to him in his casket. I'm like, I'm not gonna let what killed you killed me. It's something that I always go back to whenever I don't want to do something, whenever like the day at the gym gets hard or whatever. It's like, yeah, you made a promise and you can't break that promise. And I even told one of my roommates, like, when they saw me start working out more, they were like, "You hitting the gym?" And I was like, "Yeah, man." I was like, "I have to." I was like, I need to feel the pain that I feel inside outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that to them. That's how I justified or explained what I was doing. And I was going hard. From basically March or the end of February to maybe August, I lost like 60, 70 pounds, which is, it's crazy. And I'm proud of myself for that. And my goal is to keep going. Right now, I'm just taking a break because it's cold outside and I don't want to do stuff.
Yeah.
but no, that was all because of that promise that I made to my dad. And feeling that pain and using that pain as fuel is something that I feel everybody is super capable of. You're only feeling pain because it's a sign that you love that person so much that their absence from the world is that painful. His death showed me the worst that could happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's nice to find meaning. It sounds like you found a lot of meaning from his death, like from like the time when you found out that he passed and seeing like the sunset. When someone passes, you're so mad and like you're like, why did this happen? Like, why did this happen to me? So it's finding those little like nuggets in the world that kind of give meaning to why it happened. So I think that's really important. And
no, absolutely. And maybe there's meaning, maybe there's not meaning, but as long as it means something to you, that's what matters,
Yeah.
Find meaning in everything you do. And even the bad stuff. There's the meaning is what gives us motivation to do stuff, to keep going, this means something. Oh, I gotta keep going, just pushing yourself and realizing that it's just pain is so momentary, pain is so momentary and love is so eternal,
Yeah, that's a really beautiful way to look at it. And I do want to thank you for being so open about sharing your experience, just because I know
Absolutely.
a lot of people in your position would probably not talk about like crying over a death, especially I feel like a lot of people who identify as male, I feel like there's still a stereotype of people, like wanting to hold in their emotions or just wanting to be strong, but you can still be strong and cry. Like there's nothing wrong with that, especially in this type of situation.
Absolutely. And it's awesome that now, and I'll tell you, this year has definitely been the year for the push on mental health for guys and for just anybody that feels like it's not okay to be open or honest with yourself, about what you're feeling. And I know a ton of people in my life that like to repress things, and repressing things is probably the worst thing that you could do for yourself. Because in the end, you're the only one that's hurting, and you're like scarring yourself so bad emotionally that it comes to a point where you're just like, okay, that's it. And a lot of just suicides come from that. And it's something that I'm proud, if anything, to be open about. I'm proud of the scars that I have, because everybody has them, and the world would be such a better place if we were open about showing them, learn a lot of stuff from each other.
I'm curious where it sounds like you have a really positive mindset in that respect, but you also mentioned that like people around you maybe repress their feelings or have a different mindset. So how did you kind of adapt to this positive mindset or look at things differently?
It might just be a little bit of not caring about, a little bit of not caring. You can't help but to care what people think sometimes, especially if you're, oh, I have to be a man, I have to be tough. It's like, no, man, screw all that. Like, get that out of your head, because it's just stereotypes or gender roles or whatever you want to call it. That's just it's self-imposed to the point where it's not even true. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I know so many, a lot of the women in my life, my mom, my sisters, are super strong, stronger than me in a lot of aspects. And I recognize that in them from a young age, and I recognize a lot of, what some people would call, feminine, whatchamacallits. I don't know the word, but, emotional stuff in a lot of other guys and a lot of other men in my life. So I've never had that separation. I've never had that in my head of like, this is a guy, or this is a man, this is a woman. Like, no, everybody's human. For some reason, I've always thought that. I don't know what it is. I'm sure it's gotten me into one or two situations, but in my head, we're all here. We're all the same. There's really not a big difference. Luckily, the world is changing, and people are starting to look at things differently and being more open with themselves and the world. But the most important thing is to be open with yourself about your the good and the bad, and that's something that I'm still working on. I feel like we're all working on.
Yeah,
Just
always.
being honest with yourself.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I'm kind of curious too, for someone listening who may be going through a similar grieving process, or is maybe at a certain point in their life where they are experiencing significant loss in some way, what would you suggest to help them through that period of time?
If you're a passionate person, and I feel like everybody has a passion, it's just figuring out a way of utilizing that passion. To me, even writing or sitting down and making stuff, making music, graphic design, art, whatever you want to do. Just the important thing is to do it. You have to do something. You can't get stuck. And it's so hard. And it's like, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, no, I've been there. I've been to the edge of like, I don't want to do this anymore. Get me off of this planet. And the only way to get away from the edge, or just out of that hole, however you want to visualize it, is to do something about it. You literally, that's all it takes. It really just, it's hard, and it's gonna be hard, and you have to accept that it's hard. But because it's hard, it's like you should want to do it even more, because at the end, if you do get past that wall, you're gonna be so proud of yourself. Like, whoa, I overcame that. I did that, and that's how you start gaining a lot of respect for yourself. And find communities, in your passion. I've been lucky to be a skateboarder basically all my life. So I always felt, even if I wasn't skating, I would look at the skateboarding community and still feel kind of close to them. So find something like that, find your group of friends, make sure you have no idea how important a call could be, just be like, hey, what's up? How are you? The grieving process is so different for everybody, but it really just comes down to, if you don't want it to lead you deeper and deeper down depression, you really have to do something about it. And you have to know how to reach out to people, ask for help too.
Yeah. No, I think that's good advice. And I know that you've mentioned exercise has been kind of a huge role in your grieving process and kind of channeling your a tragic loss into motivation. So I'm just curious if you have any advice for someone who also may be interested in kind of shifting to a healthier lifestyle. How did you get started? I know you kind of mentioned it was really hard at first to get started. So what were there things that you told yourself or that you did that helped get going?
The the first few weeks of starting anything is super difficult, and anybody that's ever exercised is gonna tell you that. And at first, I didn't, I didn't focus on diet or anything like that. I was just like, I just have to move. I know that I just have to move, and I would envision, if I'm on the bike or if I'm out walking or running or whatever. It's like, if you want to look at it as you're running away from whatever, then that's, use that and think of it like that, as like, I'm leaving all that stuff behind. I'm leaving the pain and the guilt and the grief and all that stuff behind. And I'm going towards the goal of just being better, being healthier. And that's something that is just, you have to remind yourself, I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this to feel better, to be healthier, and in my case, it was, I lost my dad to an unhealthy lifestyle, that really, it just culminated to, heart disease and all types of stuff. And I don't want that. And I'm going to run away from it, physically run away from it and run towards a healthier me. So yeah, if just put in those headphones, block out the world. If you have to close your eyes while you're on the bike or while you're exercising, that's something that I always do even now. It's just like, I focus on what you're doing. Focus on the exercise that you're doing heavy. Like, it's easy to get distracted, especially when you're going through that grieving process, and you're first starting to exercise to get away from that. It takes a millisecond for a thought to pop in your brain, and it's just gonna derail your whole motivation, your whole energy. So it's like, if you feel those thoughts coming, it's just like, head down and just keep grinding. It's really, you have to turn almost into a, you have to revert to your primal thing. You have to kind of be like just gnarly, like, use that pain. Definitely use that pain. And if you understand what I mean by that, it's almost like chase the pain, chase the fight. The fight is just it's gonna get gnarlier, it's gonna get harder, but the harder it gets, the better you're gonna feel at the end, So definitely be happy for yourself, for sure. If just for the sheer action of doing it.
I think, I like the idea of kind of taking it a day at a time, because looking at like a whole shift in your whole lifestyle can kind of feel overwhelming. But absolutely. If you think about it as like, okay, well, today I'm just going to, move my body in some way that's like enjoyable to me. That can be like a good way to kind of look at it and start. And then next day you can find something else that you enjoy, or maybe that's the same thing. So
absolutely. Yeah. And it's that part is very important, is the day to day. You cannot plan ahead. You can't. Yeah. I didn't have any type of gym routine or exercise schedule. I wasn't like, I'm working out arms today and tomorrow I'm going to work out legs. I was just like, I know I want to sweat, because sweat means I'm in motion, I'm doing something, and I'm serious. It sounds super sadistic, but it's like, I'm going to feel pain. I'm going to feel pain.
Yeah.
And I'm going to physically feel the pain that I'm feeling inside. And I want that. I want all the pain inside to be in my legs for 45 minutes. And if I'm sweating, I'm looking at it like my body's crying. I'm not crying. My body's crying. Legitimately, that's a lot of stuff. I got super like hardcore in that way, but it's almost, you have to motivate yourself in that type of way, because that motivation is gonna push you through everything,
Yeah. I also, you mentioned like closing your eyes while working out, but that also reminded me that like there are so many things that you can listen to while working out that can kind of distract you, like comedy podcasts, or use like hardcore music. So it's about finding that thing that like works for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, the if you're gonna listen to something that's not distracting,
Hmm.
you know, but it's something that it's in the background, you know.
Yeah.
Everything has to be in the background. It's just like the main thing is just forward, 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 and everything is everything. The world can still happen in the background, and it'll still be there when you get off the bike or you stop running or whatever. But the main thing is, I just gotta keep moving, keep moving, keep moving.
The last thing I kind of wanted to touch on, you have mentioned to me that you have your own media company. So I wanted you to share a bit about Mob Work. How did it start? What do you do with the company?
Awesome,
And
yeah.
yeah.
So I was working in Sprint, and I saw something, and that name popped in my head, and I know since I've always been a skateboarder, I knew that the best way to do whatever you want to do is to own a company and
Mhm.
basically be like, oh, this is my job, but really I'm just doing whatever I want to do, you know? So that was something that I always wanted to do was have a platform where I could do any creative thing that I wanted to do. If it was make art, if it was make music, if it was write or make a film or whatever, that's I wanted to have a company that could allow me to do that. And not only myself, but also my friends, because I have
Mhm.
all my friends, I've always appreciated their creative talents, you know? So we took it from, okay, we're gonna make t-shirts, or now we're gonna make music, and now we're gonna make a movie, and now we're gonna do this. So we're I settled on this is a media company because
Mhm.
whatever we're doing is basically media. You know,
Mhm.
if it's printing stuff on a shirt or making skateboards, it's something that it's a lifestyle that I'm chasing for everybody to have. Which is I just want everybody to feel free. You know,
Mhm.
I want the name Mob Work to be synonymous with freedom in a way. You know, if you see somebody on the street with a Mob Work T-shirt, you should feel no type of like social weirdness is going up to them and being like, "Hey, I like your shirt. I like them too. Let's
Mhm.
be friends." Type stuff. You know, I really would. I want it to be a positive influence on the world by bringing people together. We all have tragedies that we could relate with, but they shouldn't be the end of our lives, and we should be open with each other to the point of like our similarities, even if they're bad similarities, should create a connection,
Mhm.
you know. So my work, you know, we're working on a lot of stuff right now. We did a little EP type music deal last year called Maps. That's on every platform right now. My friend, my roommate, he's got this. You know, his artist name is Mike C. Crazy. He's got great music. He just put out a tape that we've been promoting through Mob Work. So Mob Work is like the creative kind of executive
Yeah.
producer type of thing. Just because anything creative, I like to think can happen through Mob Work. So
Mhm.
right now we're still working on a lot of music. Right now I'm working on like the skateboard side to Mob Work, so getting skateboards made and tapping into the skateboard community out here in California, especially in San Jose and San Francisco, which is like the mecca of skateboarding.
Mhm.
So that's I want to be able to express my love for skateboarding through Mob Work. So there's a lot of awesome stuff in the works for Mob Work itself, and we hope to be able to support awesome podcasts like yours and creators like you in any way. We want to do events, gatherings, that type of thing where we could just come together as a community and just learn and appreciate each other
Mhm.
for who we are.
On that note, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really, really appreciated talking to you and you sharing your story with everyone. I think I learned a lot, so I'm sure everyone listening will learn a lot about the grieving process and also about your work with mob work. So I just want to give you one more chance to kind of share any social media handles or where can people learn more about you or mob work.
Of course. So on Instagram, that's our main, face to the world. So it's Mob Work Official altogether. You're gonna see, everything from short films to just different clothes, links to music. Definitely check out Maps. It's a mixtape by Mob Work. I definitely want to shout out my friend, partner in crime over here, Mike C. Crazy. He just definitely check out his tape, his album, Charge It to the Game. So yeah, Mob Work Official. Definitely expect a lot of awesome stuff on the way. If you're into skateboarding, if you're into music, or just living a great life, we're pushing that on people. We're definitely advocates of just being shooting for the stars.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thank you again. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I hope you have a lot of luck and success with your healthy lifestyle journey as it continues. So,
as I'm drinking a Coke,
it's a Coke moderation. Zero. Everything in moderation.
It's a Coke Zero. I swear to God, it has no sugar.
There you go. All right. Well, I'll talk to you later.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.
The To Be Honest podcast is a creative platform that enables youth and young adults to share their personal experience with mental health to help normalize the conversation around this often taboo topic. To Be Honest is a program of Momentum for Health and is supported by District 4 Inventory Funds, Republic Urban Properties, and BetterHelp. To learn more about To Be Honest, visit tobehonest.today or check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. The To Be Honest podcast is hosted and edited by Avery Cruz, as well as edited by Peyton Dillehay. Music for the podcast was created by Julia Steele. For more information, check out the episode show notes in the streaming platform of your choice. Happy listening!